Hi, everybody. Welcome to Nutrition for Thyroid Health. This week, we are going to talk about exercise and the thyroid gland. So this has been talked about before, but I just want to revisit it because this is something that this time of year, everyone is joining gyms and getting different kinds of memberships for different kinds of exercise routines and starting these new regimens because of the new year. So I want to address some of that and help you figure out if you need to be a little bit more cautious about what you are doing if you are struggling to get your thyroid in check and if you are not optimized with your medications and how you're feeling. And if you're not optimized, you're going to be struggling with a lot of symptoms, probably a lot of fatigue, joint pain, gut health issues, headaches, brain fog, all the kind of things that people hear about with regard to thyroid. So if you are optimized, you probably have a ton of energy and you have a lot of motivation and you don't really particularly feel bad other than, any kind of illness that might come your way. So it's really pretty black and white. It seems like either you have numerous symptoms or you're feeling pretty good and just, going on with your days. So most likely, if you're in this group and listening to this podcast, you are not feeling the greatest. All right, so I just want to address some of that stuff. But first of all, Happy New Year. I'm excited to kick off 2022 with this new version of different topics in my podcast and helping you to educate yourself about nutrition and thyroid and helping you to optimize that thyroid, like I mentioned in the beginning. So all right, let's get into it with movement. All right, so I'm using movement as a way to describe any kind of exercise you're going to be doing to help yourself be healthy. So oftentimes this New Year's Eve or New Year's resolution type of mindset kicks in. Usually it only lasts for a couple of weeks. But usually we have these different ideas and we have really lofty goals and we usually kick it into gear and just jump all in and exercise hard. That is something that you might need to put the brakes on for just a little bit until you decide how it's actually making you feel and if it's actually improving your symptoms. So if you've heard anything else I've talked about with exercise before and some of my history with that, and what I hear from tons of people, because a lot of people who are dealing with thyroid, especially Hashimoto's or hypothyroid, are really struggling with either weight loss resistance or they're gaining weight for no apparent reason. And so conventional wisdom tells us the answer to those problems is to exercise more and to burn more calories and to eat less food and all those kinds of things. We're going to just stick with exercise for this talk today. But if you have decided to jump all in on a new exercise regimen, I want to applaud you for that. That's good. We need to move. Our bodies were designed to move. However, if you are over exercising and stressing your body, you can actually be impairing the function of your thyroid. And so let's just break that down a little bit. So stress, for example, in the form of exercise, is considered a physical stress. Even though you might like it, you might really like the adrenaline rush of like a hardcore exercise, like a boot camp or a CrossFit type of thing. You might really like that and like to accomplish that, but it is an actual stress on the body. And when your body is stressed, on top of all the other stresses that we deal with day to day, you could be stressing out your thyroid even more. Patients with thyroid problems don't handle physiological stress, emotional stress, or any other kind of stress very well or very efficiently, or it's harder to come out of it. And so by adding a really intense exercise regimen to your routine is probably not the answer that you think it might be. So examples of high stress activity, and some of this I'm going to be using from my own experience. And it is something that it's really hard for me because, like I said before, mentally, I really enjoy these types of workouts, a little more intense, hardcore workouts. I do really actually like those, maybe not in the actual moment, but it feels good doing it. It's a challenge. It feels like you're accomplishing something, and you start to feel stronger and you have better muscle endurance, and you're probably improving your cardiovascular endurance. However, your thyroid can say stop, or your medications for your thyroid, if you're on complete replacement for your thyroid, that can actually not be as effective because of all the stress on your system. So if you are the person who's going to the gym and doing 2 or 3 classes at a time, all in one shot, and you are doing some kind of run on the treadmill. I mean, I've seen this. I've seen when people go run on the treadmill for half an hour, then they come to a very intense exercise class, so like a group exercise class, and then they might finish it off with a spin class, which can also be super intense. Rarely do people fit in yogas and stretching and Pilates and that kind of thing. So you've got this person who now has burned a ton of calories, probably not as many as they think. They now have completely stressed out their system because they have done this high intense workout. Their heart rate's probably been high the entire time and not allowed for much recovery. And so if you are someone who is a thyroid patient struggling to get your medication regulated or struggling with symptoms, this is a recipe for disaster, over time. If you keep doing this, it's not going to help you. What actually happens is, because of the stress on the system, your thyroid will start to down regulate, and that slows your metabolism. And you think you're doing this because it's going to increase your metabolism and it's going to help you to improve your body composition. Now, you might feel different as far as, toning up. You might, improve muscle. You can see the muscle in your body much better. There could be some body composition shifting, but the end result is that after a while, you will have stressed it out so much that your thyroid will downregulate metabolism. And as soon as you, take your foot off the brakes, or if you put on the brakes, I should say, and you stop working out like that, you will end up by increasing your weight, or worse, you'll actually feel, that you've caused some issues with your joints or your muscles or anything like that. So muscle endurance can be impaired. You can start to, that will start to actually be decreasing your muscle mass, or start to degrade your muscles. And because your body's trying to keep you in homeostasis, and it has to take energy from somewhere. And if you don't have the energy to give it, the physiological energy, and now you've just done 2 or 3 classes, or you've gone and run outside to the gym, or whatever it might be, you could really do some more damage. So what we need to look at doing is, go ahead and start a new routine, but you might need to adjust your thinking and your expectations a little bit, at least until you are optimized. And we'll talk about that on later conversations. But what you should do to think about your exercise, depending on where you're at. If you're someone who is really, really fatigued and you're really struggling to sleep well, and you're not eating the greatest diet, I am going to recommend that you really start with more restorative types of exercise. So things like yoga, Pilates, walking, depending on where you live and the weather, it might not be that conducive to walking right now, but I would suggest try it a little bit anyway, bundle up. It can help lower your core body temperature a little bit, and there's some healing and restorative factors in that. So it might be worth trying. Be careful, of course, with the icy sidewalks and that kind of thing. But if you get outside and enjoy some nature, you can get some other sort of healing going on as well. But I would say to start with that type of thing first, until your body starts to feel a little better, a little more flexible, start getting some strength that way. And you can do yoga workouts and Pilates workouts that are going to help with your cardiovascular endurance as well. If you do have some kind of at-home type of spin bike, or if you go to a spin class, it's really hard not to join the intensity of an instructor teaching you and cheering you on and pushing people to work harder and to, just, set a goal and set a challenge and encouraging people to stick with it. That's hard to do sometimes, to be the person in the back just pedaling slowly or whatever. So if you have some kind of bike at home, maybe just get on that bike and just pedal, just move. You don't have to get a certain time. You don't have to get your heart rate to a certain level. You just pedal and move. So that would be the way to start. That's for people who are really, really new to the game of exercise. Now, if you're someone who is a lot more versed at exercise and it's been a part of your life the whole time, I would put myself in that camp. What I would do is you might have to adjust and work into things a little bit with the intensity of your exercises. But this is where, with thyroid health and improving thyroid health, especially as we age, is to really, really make sure you're incorporating resistance training and don't focus only on cardiovascular training. That is a whole nother topic to talk about another time. But if you're doing only cardiovascular training and not doing anything with resistance, whether it's body weight training, bands, weights, barbells, dumbbells, that kind of thing, you are missing out on the benefits of how that can help, your overall health and body composition, as well as help support the different hormones in your system besides the thyroid hormone. So what I would suggest is to do some type of high intensity interval training, which is sort of, HIIT training is what you probably heard it as, or burst training, things like that. They're going to be shorter workouts. They're going to be, 20 to 30 minutes. You can do them for 40 minutes, but maybe twice a week, not 6 days a week, maybe twice a week. Or like I said, the resistance training, making sure you're getting some resistance training in 2 or 3 times a week. 3 would be awesome if you could do that. So the goal here is not to necessarily burn calories, but you need to get out of that mindset that, especially when you have a thyroid condition that's not optimized, if you are just working out to burn calories so you can eat more food or whatever it might be, or to reduce calories overall, because you think that that is the magic pill, so to speak, to reduce your weight, it's only temporary. Okay, it's only temporary. We need to optimize the thyroid so our metabolism and all our hormones are regulated and everything is in check. And so that is my talk this week, to talk to you about movement. If you are trying to get into that really, strict regimen and get back into shape, New Year's resolution kind of mindset, that is great, but you might need to adjust those expectations and the things that you're thinking about doing a little bit based on your thyroid health. And the most important thing is to stay where you're at, or start where you're at, I should say. So if you're someone who hasn't exercised for months, you probably don't need to start a CrossFit gym and start flipping tires or whatever. That's not the place for you to start. I know that's common sense, but sometimes we get into this mindset and we're desperate and we're frustrated that we do this intense thing. And half the things I'm telling you right now, probably more than half, are things that I've done myself. So I understand the mindset with that. And I talk to people every day that are dealing with this and they just want to feel better. And we always hear that exercise will make us feel better. And it does if we're doing it right and if we're working with our thyroid and with our bodies and not against it. And like I said, the overexercise and the, striving to burn an X amount of calories to offset the calories you're eating, to reduce calories overall so that you lose weight, that is a formula that is basically only really works in the lab, and it's really hard to sustain. And if you start to eat more calories than what you've been doing and stop working out, then you're going to gain the weight back. So it's all about restoring our bodies, restoring our thyroid, and optimizing both. And that includes our metabolism. So if you have any questions, please comment below, reach out at hello@tiffanyflayton.com. And we'll talk about, how we can help you with this and also help you to eat and to optimize your thyroid with nutrition. All right. Have a great night. Thank you.